Did I spend too much money on building my kids' PCs? The thing is, you can always spend a little bit more or a little bit less on each individual component, making the whole computer more or less, depending on your taste. I'll show you how I did it step by step. Come on, let's go. We're about to show you how to install a PC for beginners in 18 steps, just like you see on the screen now, including installing Windows. Here's what you will need. First, you will need a case. This one is a mid-tower ATX case. Next, we have the motherboard. This is an Asus AM4 Tough Gaming X570 Plus. Our CPU is the AMD Ryzen 5 3600, 6-core, 12-thread with Wraith Stealth cooler. The memory is Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro, 32 gigabytes of DDR4 3600 memory. The hard drive is actually an SSD solid-state drive by Western Digital, 1 terabyte. Our graphics card is an AMD Radeon RX 570 8 gigabytes GDDR5 graphics memory. Our power supply is the EVGA Supernova 750G3. The power extension cables are made by Asia Horse. The monitor is a basic Philips 27-inch frameless monitor. The UPS or battery backup is an uninterruptible power supply made by Cyber Power. Keyboard and mouse are made by Red Dragon. They are basic wired gaming keyboard and mouse combo. There are different schools of thought on how to control electrostatic discharge, or ESD. This can absolutely zap any of your expensive computer components, and after spending over $3,000 on the components for 2 different PCs for my kids, I'm not taking any chances. So here I am hooking up my electrostatic discharge mats to a plug outlet. That way it will make sure that when I have the band on my wrist, it will prevent any ESD zapping any of my components. One of the first things you should do is plug in your UPS, your battery backup. This one is a Cyber Power 700 volt amps, 370 watts. And the reason is because it needs to charge up. This one says it needs to charge up for about 8 hours, so. Over here is for battery supported and surge protector outlets. And over here is just surge protector outlets, no battery backup on these. And once it is all charged up, we will press this power button, press and hold it to start it up. And there's also 2 2.4 USB chargers. So this is the case. To be flipping it back and forth. So here is the front of it. So power, USB-A, USB-C, and then headphone jack. And obviously the bottom has the little feet. And this is the back. So you can see it has a fan on the back. There's a fan on the top. And it has 2 fans on the front. Great. So what we can do is take off this top tempered glass. There. Okay, so we'll set this aside and undo these. And then this is the back of the computer, comes off. That's this side. And then there's this side. This back of it. Here's the front of it with the two fans. Now we have this down here. So we take this off, and then we've got, this is USB for connect to motherboard, and this is for the F panel. So right down here we have the accessories for the case. So the accessories, okay, so this is the accessories bag. For this, we're going to plug this one that has the hard drive LED, the power, and the power plus and minus LEDs. We're going to plug that into the F panel. And there's only one way that we can plug this in. So hold it up here like this so the camera can get it. Now see how it can only go in one way? So look here. See, that doesn't have a pin?
It's like, isn't it like...
So if it doesn't have a pin right there, then, or if it doesn't have a hole right there, you can't put a pin right there. Okay, so
Ow, my finger.
Together. And so now you have connected to this the hard drive light and the power light. That's going to be up here. Now we have this pretty much the way we want it. We're going to put this off to the side. I'll put these on the side here. I'm going to lay this down. And now what we get to do is we get to prep the motherboard. So this is the Wi-Fi. Looks pretty cool. This is where CPU goes. This is where your memory goes. You have 4 DIMMs, spots for 4 DIMMs. There's already a fan in there. And then your graphics card is going to go right here. And then we get to plug some stuff in over here. Yay! This is your back I/O panel. I/O is input output. You get a fun decal. There's some drivers on a CD, and we're not using a CD, so we'll just hook up to the internet to get our drivers. And then we have some extra cables here. I believe these are SATA cables, which we are actually not going to use. What you do need is the I/O panel for the back of your case, and that is going to go over here. Okay, so with this, see how these are the feet? So this is the down part. So when you put this in, you're actually going to come in from behind and you're going to push it in like this. So come over here. Now go ahead and push on the inside until it snaps in. So you want it to come in exact kind of like this at an angle. It's kind of finicky. So you want to snap the corners in. Use both hands. That doesn't, yeah, you have to get it.
Is it supposed to be this way?
It's supposed to be with the circles heading down. Because see, that's the feet. And see how you're reading like this way? Because that would be upside down, right? Okay. So it has to be like this.
Okay.
With all the audio parts down. Don't push in the middle. Push on the edges. You want me to help? Almost. Here. Let me help a little bit. You really have to use 2 hands and then snap it in. All right, we're snapped in. Yay! What's the next thing? The CPU? We're going to put in the CPU right here. And this is a very cool CPU in that it already has the thermal paste already on it. So be sure you don't touch the thermal paste, okay? So I'm going to show you how it kind of goes in. Now the thermal paste is for the fan. This is the CPU. And when you take it out, you're going to hold it by the sides. Try not to touch it on the top, and definitely don't touch the little pins on the back. So you hold it by the sides like this. And the way you put it in is this, you kind of pull it out sideways and then up. Do you see how it kind of moves?
Yeah.
This is a socket AM4.
Okay.
On here, there is a tiny little arrow. When you take it out, do you see the tiny little arrow? It's on a corner. Here is the arrow right there. And then now find the arrow on here. Tiny little arrow. It's really hard to see because they have to match up. This is a little gold arrow.
Yeah.
This is really tiny, man. And then the arrow on this one is not gold. So I'm thinking if you're looking at it like this, also, if you're looking at it like this, the writing at the top says socket AM4. And if you hold this so that you can read the writing, that also lines it up. So see, now the arrow's on the bottom on this side, and then see the arrow right there.
Yeah.
You kind of see it like that?
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is you are going to place it right in here and kind of wiggle jiggle it, but not pressing down until it drops in. So here you go. See how this says socket AM4 and this says AMD Ryzen?
Yeah.
You want the letters to be in the same direction. You don't want it to be like this. So you're going to put it right down in the middle. So take it like that. There you go. Right down the middle. Don't push it, just kind of move it left and right and up and down until it drops. Okay, good. Now push this down and you're going to have to move it a little bit out to the side until it snaps. Perfect.
My finger.
Did it snap your finger? You did it. You just installed your first CPU. Good job. Now we got to do the fan. And the reason we need a fan is because the CPU is like the brain of the computer and it gets very, very hot. That's why it needs its own little fan. This guy, and in this situation, we need to unscrew these brackets. So these two brackets that are on here, we're just going to take those off. What I'm going to do is turn it this way because I kind of think this might be in the way. So we're going to take out these brackets right here. Okay, so now for this thing, this is actually the thermal paste already on there, so do not touch it. And when you're looking at which way to place the fan, so with this one, it has this extra little, this one has this extra little AMD plastic, which really doesn't do anything. And we don't need any brackets. We're just going to put it straight on top and then screw it down. Now, if you put the AMD on this side, it's going to come into contact with this, and we don't want that. So actually put this AMD closer to the 4 DIMMs over here. It'll be easier. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in the holes. So, and what you want to do is go ahead and screw them down and do it, use 2 hands if you need to, but righty-tighty. So I would do 5 twists, okay, and then go the opposite. Nope, then go the opposite. Nope, right here,
oh,
the
yeah.
big one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good, now go with that one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why not all the way?
Because you want it to go down evenly. You don't want it to go down cockeyed. You don't want to go down.
Wait, I noticed that I did this one.
So now do that. Wait, stop. Now do this one 5.
Oh.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now do this one 5. And don't press any. Don't do any more. Once it stops, don't force it.
Okay. I'm just like kind of like
Just trying it.
yeah. Boom.
All right, good job. You installed a CPU and the CPU
My
fan.
hands are so red.
Let's give a high 5. Yes.
Great content.
Yeah. The next thing that we're gonna install for the motherboard is dun, dun, dun,
The thingy.
memory. Memory. I'll let you open these. Okay, so you can either put them in one in A2 and one in B2, and those are the light colored ones. So it's the light grays. So it's
Right here.
A2 and B2.
Are these big or small?
Those are pretty big. So A2 and B2 are the DIMM slots. So see over here? Let me just show, before you do it, let me just show you. So right here,
Yep.
it's the light gray ones.
Yeah.
So see how that comes out?
Yep.
And see how that one comes out? And what you're gonna do is put one down on the table. Put the other one down. Now, this can only go in one way or the other.
So it's this way?
So look,
That way.
what this is shorter than this.
So that means this goes on that side.
Right.
Right?
So careful. Line it up. Make sure that hole lines up on the bottom. So once you get it lined up, then you kind of, and when you want to push it down and then use 2 thumbs and push it straight down till you hear it click. I would use 2 thumbs.
Boom.
There you go.
Alright, so now
Do the same for
this one.
this one.
Wait, like right?
Make sure the hole lines up. Light gray. You're not in on this side.
So let me get it on that side because I can barely see that side.
Right.
And now.
And also when you click it up or when you push it down, that closes automatically. So that's why I say put 2 thumbs right here. Use 2 thumbs. Good job.
All right.
Okay, let me just extra check. Because if they're not seated, they won't work. All right, and both of these came up. Well, this one didn't come up all the way.
There you go.
All right,
Instead of-
perfect. Okay, what's next on the list?
Where's the list?
This is an SSD drive, and it is 1 terabyte, and the form factor is M2. And if you remember in your case, there were some screws in there. The M.2 screws are in the motherboard case, and it comes with 2 sets. So make sure you don't lose these. If we look on the motherboard, so what you're going to see are, I'll turn it this way. You're going to see these screws. So this is where you plug in the hard drive. I'll set these aside. When you plug it in, it goes into this socket, and then depending on the size, that's where you put the screw down. So let's see what size it is. This is it. And all right, so this is the way it goes in. Here, I'll just kind of hold this up so you can see it a little bit better. It's going to go in here, and you can see that that's how long it is. So how long is that?
That's
How many screws? 1, 2, 3.
3 screws.
3 screws. Screws?
Dr. Screw.
So I'm gonna give you, so you got a little stand up, and then you have a screw that goes in top. So I'm gonna put the others back in this little baggie for later. So now what I'd like you to do is take the hard drive, take the stand up, and plug it in, screw it into the third screw. That's the second, that's the first, that's the third.
Well, from my perspective, it looks like the third. With my right hand, I can't do it with my left.
Yeah, do it with your right hand.
I don't know why I didn't in the first place.
I don't know then. Do you have the screwdriver? And then that screw keeps it secure. You're going to push that in gently until it snaps. It's got to be elevated a little bit. So you were right, it's up really high. There. And then now take that screw and the screwdriver. Okay, so now I'll press it down. Not too tight, not too tight. Very good.
Cool.
You just installed your 1 terabyte hard drive. Give me 5. That's about it for all the stuff that goes on the motherboard. I think we're ready to install the motherboard into the case. Let's take a break. Recording. Okay, so here's the case, and here's the motherboard. And if you're ever wondering which way it goes in, all you need to do is line up the IOs, the input outputs. So as you can see, right here, we have the IO panel. And if you see the writing on there, it's actually going down toward the feed. So the feet are at the bottom. So the motherboard IO is going to line up, and those are the circles, and it's going to go down toward the bottom. So in other words, the motherboard goes in like so. And what you can do is you can look at all of the places you're going to put screws. So see all these silver circles? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's 9, right? And if you look down into the case, you can see 1, 2, 3, 1. Now this middle one, the middle of the 9 is not actually a screw hole, it's a peg. So the first thing you're going to do is drop the motherboard, not drop it, but put it down on the peg. So the very center silver hole that you see right there, just happens to be next to the hard drive, is going to go right on that center peg, right there. So I'll go ahead and set it down. And you notice you're going to kind of position it toward the IO board. And at the same time, getting it on that center peg. And boom, it's in. So now what we need to do, from our NZXT accessories, we get the 632 screw flat, and we screw in the other 8 screws. Okay, I'm zoomed in on the motherboard, and go right ahead and put in the 8 screws. Let me look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, that's a hard one. 7, 8. Great. So that was that step. Next is our Radeon graphics card. It's the Radeon RX 570, 8 gigabytes of GDDR5. Some extra SATA cables in there. Warranty card installation guide. No driver disk, that's fine since we do not have a CD or DVD player. And here's the actual card. So this is it. plastic covers. This is where the power goes. Power goes right there. So you can see here it's going to take up 2 slots on the case. And this is the HDMI plug. Let's go ahead and take that plug out since we are actually going to be using it. That's the plug I just took out right there. And to avoid confusion, so here is the HDMI plug right here on the case. And we do not want to confuse it with the HDMI plug on the graphics card. So take that stopper and put it in the case. Right there. And then you won't be confused by accidentally using that one. So let's go ahead and turn this way so you can see it. So here's the graphics card and the fans. Graphics card and the fans, and then this is the HDMI port that we're going to use. Not this one, but we're going to use this one to plug the monitor into. First thing we do is we take off this protective shield. Now these 2 yellow bits on the side are just for guides. They don't actually plug into anything. So if we look at the first PCIe slot here, PCIe 16 slot here, it is going to go in like this. And if you look over to the side, if you kind of imagine where it's going to line up, it's going to take up the 2nd and the 3rd slots there. So let's go ahead and take this side panel off so we can get more access to it. And keep the screws, don't throw them away. Okay, so now let's make sure this AMD fan plug is not in our way. And let's plug it in. So you line it up. You're gonna actually, so these 2 prongs are going to go inside in here. So that's really where you should be leading, is inside there. And then that should line you up perfectly for the PCIe slots. And you want to give it some firm pressure. And now it's in. And then there was a little pop right there. That was this little, so we know it's in now. So now we take our 2 screws just to secure it down. Great. And then we put this back on, a couple of slots that it goes into on the bottom here. Goes up there. And there we go. So the power supply is going to go right in here. And this is an EVGA 750 G3 750 watt volt power supply. Power button. It's got an eco on off as well. And this is where you are going to plug in all of your power from now the case into here. So let's figure out which cables we need. Okay, this is our power supply. And starting from the top, we will need the motherboard cable. It says motherboard on both sides. And we're going to need 2 CPU cables, CPU 1 and CPU. So they both say CPU on them. I need both of those. And we are going to need a VGA 1 or just a VGA. Now it comes with a lot of VGA cables. The one that I would suggest to use is the one that has an extra VGA coming off of it. So there it says VGA right there. So it's 8 pin to 8 pin, and then it has an extra 8 pin coming off of it for later use. So use this one. You will need this one, SATA 1. There's a lot of SATA cables that are included. You will just need one of them. Finally, you will need the power cable. This is what plugs into your UPS or your surge protector, and it goes in right here. And that's what you will need out of the power supply. Okay, so that is the power supply cables. We got some extension cables of a different color just so they would stand out and we wouldn't get them mixed up. So we got red for this computer. And it comes with a lot, same as the power supply, it comes with a lot of cables and we don't need all of them. And they are not labeled here, so you only need 3 cables. One is the 24 pin cable, and then you need 2 of the 8 pin cables. So there's 1 and there's 2, and the other ones you can save for later. What looks really cool when you look inside of the tower is these little combs, and I feel like these clear ones don't really show up that much, so we'll use the black ones, and I'll show you how to do those in a minute. The first one we're going to plug in is the motherboard. So here you go. Notice there's 2 ends to it, but this has 2 plugs. See, the motherboard has 2 plugs, so this is not the right end because that's 1 plug. Okay, so you're going to plug that in right there. So this is 1 and this is 1. So what I want you to do is like rock it back and forth until it clicks in. The next one is CPU 1 and CPU 2. Go ahead and try it. So CPU 1, CPU 2. So look right here, there's only 1 snap, so that's not going to work. You're going to have to use the other end because there's only one snap spot. Good. Okay, now do that again with the other CPU. And now we need the VGA. So this has 8 prong with 1 snap. Good. And now we need 1 SATA 1. This is for future expansion. We'll save those cables for later. You don't want to have a whole bunch of cables inside of your computer if you don't need them. Okay. And so now this is going to go in the back here later. So let's hold on to this, okay? So now we need to set up our cable extensions. So we've got 3. Let's start with the big one first. So see how this says motherboard, MB? So if you notice on these, and I'll try to move them up close, some of these have like a square and some have a curved side. So you want to make sure that you're matching up the square part and the curved part. So here you go. Good. Sometimes you just have to rock it from side to side. Okay, good. So there's 1. We've got 2 of the 8 prongs. So let's do 1 CPU. Excellent. Okay, so you did the CPU, and now the last one is for the VGA. So it says VGA on the side. I'm going to put these together. Here you go. Excellent. All right, almost. Just got to push it. So you got 1 side in, but since it has this little extra one, you got to make sure they both click in. And that looks good. Now we have our extenders on. So if we start with the motherboard, we take this wire, and it's actually going to go through this hole and into the front. It's a good idea to figure out where this is, which direction it's going to go. So let's go ahead and just stick it in there. And we'll do the cable braids after. Okay, next part. Now there's two CPU cables. 1, 2. And we are going to put this up here, through this hole up in here, and feed it through. So just grab it from the other side and pull it through just a little bit. And the same with the one where you have a cable extension on it. And pull it through on the other side. So the one that's the VGA, so that can, there's actually a little hole in the case, and just go up in there. So, and the last one that's coming out of the power supply is the SATA. And if you look at all of these coming off of the case, this one says must connect to PSU. And I'll try to show you the label. It says must connect to PSU. This is the PSU. And this is the SATA. So here you go. There's one. And this is one you got to connect it to. So notice the leads are on one side. Yeah, just got to wiggle jiggle it left and right, side to side. Good. Push it in. Very good. Okay, so that's the SATA, S-A-T-A, SATA. All right, so that is all connected to the things that we are connecting to the PSU. There's 3 that need to feed in the bottom. So these connect to the fans, and these do not need to connect to anything, so just leave them alone for now. And this is the SATA. So the USB 2.0 and the HD audio, you're gonna feed through the bottom on the far slot. So that's gonna be over on this side. And pull those through. And in a minute, we're going to turn the whole case around. This is for the hard drive light, the power, and the power LEDs. This one actually goes in the bottom on the near side. This one also, since this computer does, or this motherboard does not have a USB-C connector, we're not connecting this to anything. The next step, and one that we should always make sure, do not put the power supply in until you have everything hooked up and you know you're not going to hook anything else up into it, because it's a real bear to take things out. So it's going to go in, this is going to be upside down, but the important thing is you've got your power switch on the back of it. So we're going to go ahead and slide that in. And we're just going to leave it loose for now. And then later we will tighten it up with the screws that came with the power supply. So I'm going to put this CPU plug back up in here. Okay, so what we're going to do, since we have all of the wires pushed in where we want them to be on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and turn this puppy around so we can see the other side. Okay, great. So let's go with the biggest one first. It's going to be the motherboard. It's a motherboard connector, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in on the motherboard connector and go ahead and put it in now. I'm going to line up the square in the corner. Go ahead. Okay, great. And the next one we're going to do is the video card, the 8-pin connector, which goes in here. And zooming in, I'm trying to get the whole graphics card in there. So pick up the red cable that's hanging out, the 8-pin red cable. Line up the square, the graphics card. And look, wait, by the way, that says VGA on the other side.
Boom.
Great job! Computer, and then we're going to zoom in on the CPU connectors up there. There's 2 connectors right there. Do the red first.
All right, let's do this. Record. I'm gonna do it now.
I'm still recording.
Okay. I'm gonna do it now.
So start with the red on the left, far left.
Okay, boom, I did that.
Remember, it splits in 2, so you gotta get it out. So put one 4-prong in first. You can do it. Just slow and steady. You can't rush it. Just line it up slow and push it in. Very good.
That hurt.
So go ahead and grab the HD audio. HD audio. Here's the motherboard, and we're going to zoom in to where the HD audio goes in. Do you see how one of the pins is blocked? And it's just to the right of the 5 circles with the gold surrounding. That means over here, one of the pins is not there. See this block? You line that up to where it's missing a pin. So put it with the HD audio up on top. So go ahead and plug in the HD audio. Great! Now, it's the USB 2.0. So you plugged in the HD audio, then there's one plug, then 2 smaller plugs, and then that one right there underneath it. I believe it says USB 7.8.
Boom, I'm under that.
Okay, great. So there we've got the HD audio and now the USB 2.0 plugged in. We've got to plug in the CPU fan. Go ahead and get the connector. And plug it in. So this has the little stopper on the side, so that's where we plug it in. And if for some reason it never goes in, you should check the pins to see if you have any bent pins. Here we focus on the bottom right corner of the motherboard. This is where we plug in the connectors that will control the F panel, which is on top of the case. First, we will plug in the hard disk drive LED. That's the light that shows the hard disk or SSD is running. Then we'll plug in the power switch. That's the circular button on the top of the tower. And then finally, we'll plug in the plus and minus power LEDs. That's the light that shows that the computer has power. So first we have the hard disk drive LED connector. It will go into the bottom row of pins in the first and second pins. Next we have the power switch connector, and that will go in the top row in the third and fourth pins. And finally we have the power LED plus and minus. Those will go in the top row first and second pins. So we've connected all the wires in the front. And now we are going to plug in we're going to screw in the PSU to the case. And that is going to take 4 screws right there. Can my helper please come up and do these? So now we're going to test and see if everything has power. So we'll plug this in. And then I will plug this into our battery backup, which I can't reach. So I'll bring the battery backup over here and I'll plug it in. Oh wait, first let me turn it on. You have to press and hold down the button for 2 seconds before it turns on. And then plug it in. Plug it into the battery supported and surge protector part. So we now have power going to this unit. And let's turn it this way. And I'm going to press the power button. Ready and action. So I turned the power on. So I'm going to press this button up here and still nothing is working. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna unplug it. Plugging it in. Okay. I'll just let your face tell me. On.
No.
And power button. Okay, so let's check all the fans. So there's a fan up here.
Yep, that's
It's working. 2 in the front.
Yep, working.
CPU fan.
Yep.
And one, is there one in the back?
Yeah, it's moving.
And then there's a fan on the, obviously the power supply is
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
And we have lights
Everywhere?
everywhere.
Yeah.
Cord combs. So what this does is it makes all of these look nice. That is one set of combs, and that is enough. Just gonna pull this through here. And there we go. And now what we want are some pretty combs on this 8-pin connector for the graphics card. So you get these with 4 holes and two of the cables go into each hole. And then let's kind of push it down and see. Yep, that looks very nice. I don't think we need any more right there. And then the final step before we button it all up is to put the cords back to where they are hidden. What we're gonna do is we're going to put these cords, this has some good cord management sections, so you can kind of hide the cords like so. One thing, we're gonna eventually have to put a cover on this, and look at all this stuff hanging out. So we've got to get all of this straight. Aha, zip ties, that's what I needed. So this comes down like so, and there's actually some hold downs for the zip ties right there. So it's best to kind of tighten things up as much as we can. Now let's see which of the power supply wires we can get to go in here. So let's just go ahead and start pushing some in. Let's see how it goes. However, these other wires that come off the case that are not needed, these are the fan wires. We don't need to connect them to anything. This is the USB-C wire. We don't have that on the motherboards. We don't need to connect it to anything. It can actually go in the old style hard drive case right underneath there, just to get it out of the way. And finally, we've got these 2 wires here. Okay, so there is that one. Snap it off. Good. And then this one, I believe I should have zip tied all this together. So I'm gonna just do another zip tie down here. Even though there's not a hold down, I'm just gonna put it together. Okay. And now finally we have these, and they can just come right over here. I don't really see any more stays, so let's just kind of push all this in. So this one has to go in here a little bit and then snap up, yes. And then the thumb screw here.
Satisfying.
Flip this upside down. I want you to catch it. Okay, let it fall to. Yes, because this is down, the front of it is facing down.
Screwdriver.
There's 2 ways that you can plug in this monitor. There's actually 3 ways. So let's look at the ways that you can plug it in. You can plug it in through, we're gonna plug it in through HDMI today. You can also plug it in, you can plug in a secondary. Say you wanna plug this into your computer, and say you wanna plug this into your TV. We're gonna save this DVI one for later, okay? Here's the power. Go ahead and plug the power in into the last one. You just push it straight.
Oh.
Okay, and then HDMI right there. Very good. Now go ahead and plug this into the back of the tower or the case. And make sure it's going into the graphics card HDMI and not the motherboard HDMI. Okay, and now I would like you to pop down below. I'll drop this down to you and I want you to plug it in. So put this in the plug next to the plug for the tower. So you're gonna put those 2 next to the colored circle.
Yes.
Next are the speakers. I want you to place these the same way. Here's this. This is a micro USB, and this is a USB A. So we plug this in, and then this goes back behind here. Find an empty USB plug and plug it in. I will turn on the power. Now you can press the button up there.
The button of truth. Now will the keyboard and mouse work?
Oh, press the power on the monitor. There is a button back behind here. Oh, okay, so it's powering up. That's the BIOS. Notice next to memory, in parentheses, it says DDR4 2666 megahertz. We want that to be 3600 megahertz. When you get to the BIOS, go ahead and click on the DOCP, Profile 1, and OK. And down at the bottom, save and exit. And stop for a second. See how it now, the second line says memory frequency DDR4 3600 megahertz? That's what we want. Press OK. Notice after we rebooted, the memory is now showing DDR4 3600 megahertz. So it's going to keep going to the BIOS until we plug in the USB key for Windows. Using a different PC, plug in your USB key, go to Windows and type in Windows download for new PC. Make sure you're clicking a link for Microsoft.com, download Windows 10 or 11. We do not want to update, we want to create Windows 10 or 11 installation media, and you'll notice here that you will need a flash drive USB key with at least 8 gigabytes or more of blank space. And also, this is for a 64-bit processor. So go ahead and click Download Now, and you'll see the download button at the top. Put the USB A in, and now press the power button on the top of your tower.
Press it back on, right?
Yeah. Press it back on, and now just wait a second. Okay, now it's going into BIOS. We need to make sure that the boot configuration is going to the USB first. Go to Advanced Mode. Go to Boot. Go on to Secure Boot. And right here, Other OS, Windows, UEFI. Click that. Okay, go Boot, Secure Boot. Go back to CSM. And click on Enabled. Boot from storage devices, UEFI. Click Exit. Save changes and reset.
Okay.
Okay, it says reboot and select proper boot device, or insert media and selected boot device and press a key. CPU fan error. CPU fan error. This is ASUS support. When you see the error, CPU fan error in post, it means the system doesn't detect the fan. Ensure the CPU fan cable is securely installed to the CPU fan connector. To fix, we changed the CPU fan cable from the CPU optional to the CPU fan port and rebooted. Now you want to plug that same USB key into the new PC. Go ahead and run the Windows setup. Put in your product key. If you don't have one, click on I don't have a product key and follow the steps and then click Next. Here you will accept the license terms, click Next. We are going to do a custom install because it is a brand new computer. And click Next. And it will copy all of the data. It will need to restart. Here's a look at the PC through the tempered glass. And you can see it running with the RAM lit up and the extension cables with the combs in it. And there's the previous one that we set up. Here I have an Ethernet cable, and I will plug one part into the back of the tower and the other part into my Orbi or internet connection. Click the Start menu in the bottom left-hand corner, then click on Settings, and you're going to want to search for Windows, and then choose Check for Updates. Click Check for Updates, and wait for it to install the downloads, and then once it's finished, click Restart Now. Next, you want to download the graphics card drivers. You should have a card that came with your graphics card. If you don't, then just search the web for that specific graphics card and the word drivers. Once you find it, click on that download and make sure it is from the actual manufacturer, as in AMD. With this one, it's called Adrenalin, and it will auto-detect your drivers. Make sure you select Windows with 64-bit, and then download. Yes, you want to make changes to this device. And then go ahead and install the software where it is suggested. It will go ahead and detect your system configuration, and it will make it so that your graphics card is working properly. Here is installing the AMD display drivers, and it's restarting your computer. And voila, you are good to go. Where's the little baby screwdriver? Let me find a little baby screwdriver.
I don't know where the little baby screwdriver is.
Blue one.
I don't know.
The blue baby.
I don't know where the blue baby screwdriver is.
Unboxing is stupid. It's like, how hard is it to open a freaking box?